Okay. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 5:30. Roll call, please.
Member Dillon.
Here.
Member Castro.
Here.
Member Thompson. Member Elliott.
Here.
Member Baston is excused. Member Walsh.
Here.
Vice Chair Thomas.
Present.
And Chair O'Donnell.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Let's have a reporting of the posting of the agenda.
The agenda was made available for public access at the City Hall exterior bulletin board on the west side of Council Chamber and the Planning Services counter on Wednesday, October 29th, 2025 at 9 p.m.
All right, acceptance of the agenda. The Architectural Review Committee will discuss the order of the agenda, may amend the order, note extensions, and request consent calendar items be removed from the consent calendar for discussion. And Ken, there was one item on the consent calendar, is that correct?
The meeting agenda, and there is one item, yes.
And that was a sign program, and
That's correct.
you guys are, we don't need to pull that, but you guys happy and fine taking those things on? Because I remember they used to be a cornerstone of all of our meetings were sign programs.
Well, if anybody on the committee wishes to discuss that one, then you would want to pull it off. If nobody has any wishes to discuss that particular item, you can leave it on.
Okay, anybody wishing to pull that item and take a look at it? It's the Living Out
Sign program.
sign program.
When you say pull the item, excuse me, Ken, when you say pull the item, it would be pulled off the agenda. It would-
No, it'd
No.
be pulled for our discussion.
When anything is on the consent agenda, like usually the minutes are on the consent agenda.
Right.
And if there's another case that we feel is non-controversial, that you're not likely going to want to talk about, we'll put it on the consent agenda to expedite the meeting time.
Okay,
So, but at any time, if, and this is good for all of you that are new, if at any time there's something on the agenda under consent that you want to discuss or hear from the applicant, then you want to pull it at this time. Otherwise, everything on the consent agenda, the minutes and any other applications that are on the consent agenda, all get approved with one vote. Okay?
thank you.
So does anybody want to pull anything from the consent agenda?
No, but I do have one question.
On the agenda or the item?
The item.
Okay, we're going to pull it then so you can ask your question. So now you can do your acceptance of the agenda with that item pulled.
Okay. And this is a roll call vote?
Yes.
Okay. Let's have a roll call vote for the acceptance of the agenda with the consent calendar.
Who moved its approval?
I will.
Okay, Dan, and who seconds?
Second.
Jackie? Okay. All in favor. Now, Member Dillon.
Aye.
Member Castro.
Yes.
Member Thompson.
Yes.
Member Elliott.
Yes.
Member Walsh.
Yes.
Vice Chair Thomas.
Yes.
Chair O'Donnell.
Yes.
The agenda is passed with one item pulled off.
Okay. All right, election of officers. The chair and vice chair election of officers pursuant to the Palm Springs Municipal Code 2.06.020. Officer terms from this election will run through June 30th, 2026.
Yeah, and I'll conduct this for you. Normally, this would be for a full year term, but since we've had a lot of changes on the ARC this year, we're going to do this one as an election of officers for this term that will finish through June 30th of 2026. So let's start with the position of chair. Do we have any nominations for the position of chair?
I'd like to nominate Chair O'Donnell to stay on.
Okay, Chair O'Donnell, do you accept that nomination?
I accept.
Are there any other persons wishing to nominate somebody for chair? Seeing none, congratulations, Member O'Donnell, you are chair.
Chair for another
You
year.
have chair until June of 2026. Let's open the chair, the position for the position of vice chair. Is there anybody who would like to nominate somebody for the position of vice chair?
I nominate Jackie Thomas.
Jackie, you're not accepting the nomination, okay? We need another nomination.
I nominate John Walks for vice chair.
John, do you accept the nomination?
Great hesitation.
Don't let us twist your arm here.
To sound unenthusiastic, but, yeah, okay, fine.
Are you accepting?
Thanks, David.
Accepting with trepidation?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Any other nominations for vice chair?
John, you want to nominate somebody else?
Oh.
All right. Seeing none, is there last call? Okay. Seeing none, then John, congratulations, you are vice chair. Beginning today and through June 30th of 2026. Thank you both.
right.
And Jackie Thomas, thank you for your service as vice chair over this past year.
All right, public comments. At this time has been set aside for members of the public to address the Architectural Review Committee on consent calendar and other agenda items, and items of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. Although the Architectural Review Committee values your comments pursuant to the Brown Act, it generally cannot take any action on items not listed on the posted agenda. Speakers will have 3 minutes. Is there anybody wishing to address this committee? Anybody online?
They can also talk during the hearing, yeah.
And nobody online, okay? All right, so we've got the consent calendar. We have an item pulled, so we're going to review that at this
What you'll
point.
want to do now is you'll take the consent calendar items, vote on those, and then once we're finished with that, then the items that are pulled will come up next.
All right. So we need approval of the minutes from the October 6, 2025 meeting. Do we have a motion for approval? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Who was the first? Okay.
Vice Chair.
All right. Do we need a roll call vote or we just,
All in favor?
Aye.
okay.
Opposed? Passes.
Okay, item 1B, a request by Best Signs for a sign program application for Living Out Palm Springs located at 1122 East Hockwitz Canyon Way, Zone REO, case SNP 2025-0049. Presentation.
Presentation or just ask a question?
Do we need a full presentation to just discuss the issues maybe that one or two of us had about pulling it out?
Bob, did you have just a question, or did you want to have the presentation?
No, it's a question.
Okay, why don't you go ahead with your question?
My question was related to the public comments,
Exactly.
and the public comment that came in regarding the sign was referencing a previous situation that the person making the comment was equating that it was a similar situation, and that was denied. And I was wondering if there's a little background, if those are similar situations, or if they're very different and they're not apples to apples. That was sort of my question, because they were referencing some previous decision by the committee to not approve that, and then I wanted to know what that background was, if we have that.
Alex, do you have any background on that?
I do not, other than it was potentially a different ARC at the time. Like,
Generally, we're not looking at past precedent necessarily for the decision-making, or the analysis.
Right.
Because each one is going to be analyzed on its own merits,
Understood.
but so,
I
no,
was
we
just, I
we
was
don't know
wondering,
the
because they were
particular
bringing it
details.
up as a similar circumstance, I was wondering if the variance in the sign, the difference in the background information here, how that related to that. It's just a point of information.
We don't know. We didn't analyze that.
Okay, that was my question.
I had exactly the same question. I was just curious about the monument sign that we agreed to for Racket Club, which the public comment addressed, and if we needed to revisit that, or if it's okay to just move forward and set a separate precedent. So I appreciate that, because that was my one question as well.
Okay. Are there any other questions on this case?
Seeing none. Do we need a vote?
Yes, you do.
All right. So,
I will take the roll call. You need a motion, yep.
I move to approve the sign application conditions.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Bob? All right. Any further questions? All right. Member Dillon?
Approve. Yes.
Member Castro?
Yes.
Member Thompson?
Yes.
Member Elliott?
Yes.
Member Walsh?
Aye.
Member Thomas?
Aye.
And Chair O'Donnell?
yes.
Passes unanimously. Thank you, Alex.
Okay, excluded from the consent calendar, unfinished business, item 2A, a request by Santa Rosa PS LLC for a major architectural application for the construction of a 4,800 square foot house on a hillside lot located at the terminus of West Santa Rosa Drive, Zone R1A. Case AR 2024-0092. Glenn, it looks like this is your project.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So the ARC reviewed this project originally on October 6th of this year, and you gave them some, you continued the hearing in order for them to go back and do some work on the project. So the ARC review today is for a major architectural application for a hillside lot, single-family house. You are to review, once again, the building design, colors, materials, lighting, and landscaping. Just to reorient everyone, the parcel is 1.57 acres. The project meets the standards for setbacks in the R1A zone. The building height is 18 feet, lot coverage 13.5%, and there are actually three garage spaces, but the requirement is 2. Push it hard, there we go. So previously, the ARC on October 6th gave the applicant direction, and we're gonna go over these 7 items. One was the accuracy of the drawings, showing finished floors of the proposed houses. And in your staff memo, there in red is their responses and what they have done to the plans from what you originally saw to where we are today. So they have provided finished floors identified in sections of the project and the exhibits. Then provide additional sections going east to west, north to south, showing the relationship between the condos, the street, the wash, and the properties to the south. 3D drawings or bird's eye view looking south from the neighboring condos. You requested that they reduce the square footage of the house. A number was given of possibly 15%, looking at unused internal spaces, rooftop solar panel locations, clear drainage plan for on-site water retention, and then reevaluate the relationship between the house and the ruin site. As you know, this is a Class 1 historic site. There is every cabin ruins is located on the site. And HSPB had reviewed it and approved it and included some conditions of approval in the resolution. 1 second, it's thinking. There we go. This is an aerial showing the location at the end of West Santa Rosa Road. The tennis club neighborhood, or the condos are at the north. They are listed at 555 West Baristo. To the south is Vindalista Drive. And you'll see the relationship between the flat portion, which is sort of the undeveloped portion of this lot, and then the mountain, which is the hillside portion. The applicant revised the site plan showing the Avery Cabin Ruins, which is off to the left of this slide. You'll see that the house orientation is the right end is the end of the Santa Rosa Drive, which becomes the driveway for this project. The house has been moved several feet farther away from the building property parcel line. And these, this exhibit shows the setback. So previously it was at 13 feet from the property, and now it's 18.1, 22 feet to the garage, 18.4 to another point of the house, and then 25.7. I'd like to point out that the property line is located within the wall of the adjacent condos. So the wall of the condos is built on this lot, and the applicant is not going to move that wall, and it will remain. They have revised, and I'll let the applicant come up and speak to this. They have reduced the inside of the house a certain percentage. The garage is smaller, and I'll let them tell us exactly where they've made changes, but this slide is basically there for reference when they talk about what's different inside the floor plan. You asked them to provide some sections, which is what these cross-section lines are, and then also to add the location of the solar panels, which is the flat portions above the garage. In this grading plan, it shows the locations and how the water would circulate through. So there's a wash that runs through the center of this slide. The trail or easement that is at the south is the brown or shaded grayish portion. And then locations of different various heights along the finished floors for the property. Change. There we go. Going too fast. There we go. So in looking at the house, this is the design. This slide is basically just showing the height of it at 18 feet and the different relationships of the roofs. In the previous review, the applicant had these are basically the same colors. However, the stone, which was a golden honey, has been changed to another stone material. This slide shows the new color of the stone material versus this slide. So in trying to relate to the overall hillside condition and the ruins, the applicant has changed the material, which in this slide it shows the stone as being cathedral gray, and then a slide of the existing ruins, which is on the very bottom. Another exhibit showing the building heights at 18 feet and how the relationship, and remember, the heights have changed since we originally saw this. It's been lowered over the review period. And then a relationship between the finished floors of the condominiums to the north, and then this house, being that it does sit 7 feet above the adjacent pad. And then there's a 4.5-foot wall above it, and then the house will sit. This was an exhibit that was given to us in the last review. It shows the relationship between the Avery Cabin Ruins, which is on the very left, and then the revised elevation shows a darker color. So the wall is a darker color, and the stone, the new stone material. Another exhibit showing what it was before, and then the revised colors added to it to match, to better relate to the ruins. Once again, this is a previous and then the revised. And in this slide, it does show the Avery Cabins to the left, and then the tennis club neighborhood condos, which is, you can see it in the background on the very far right. One of the exhibits that they wanted to show was what the view would be from the neighboring adjacent properties. And this is a photo simulation of how that would relate to the neighboring property. Remember that the wall where the hedges is on the neighboring property, on the applicant's property. So in reality, the property line is probably at the base of the rocky area that's in the top slide. And one more view of what it will look like from the neighboring property. In the revised landscape plan, they've added additional landscaping along the north property line to help soften the building itself. They've added water retention areas, and I'll point those out, but you can see them in the adjacent to the driveway, and then also to the south, the lower portion. The wash is not being disturbed, and also the trail area is not being disturbed either. They provided a lighting plan. It's minimal lighting, basically for uplighting of plants. And also there's a wall and fence detail. Oh, I'm sorry, that was the lighting plan. That was the wall. Previous slide was the wall and fence detail. So you also asked them to show water drainage, and their civil engineer is here. And this shows the 2 water retention areas that they're proposing. And this was added to the plan for your review. These are photographs showing the existing conditions. The flat area without any vegetation or rocks is where the house will be located, and then the hillside conditions above it. And this shows the tennis club condominiums off to the left. And one other view. And one view looking south towards the Avery Cabins, which is that chimney and wall. So staff has analyzed the project. It meets the development standards as a by right use in the R1A zone. It meets all the development standards for Hillside. So Chair, that concludes my report, and the applicant is here.
Questions of staff?
You did receive some public comment that was handed out today. I wanted to make that note.
A quick question. You said that you mentioned that there is a wall that sits on the property line?
Yes.
Is it a wall or a fence?
It is a wall. You just
It's a
can't
wall.
see it because the landscaping has grown.
Okay, and so there's a wall also on the new property. Is that a second wall?
There will be another wall.
Is there a section through that?
Yes, it's, 1 second, I'll pull it up. That one there.
So where's the wall that sits on the property line?
It's actually, the applicant will have to describe that. I don't think it's on here.
Yeah, I didn't see it on there.
On the, if you can go to the grading plan,
Okay.
one of the sheets there has several sections that the city engineer requested early on for
Okay.
us to prepare.
Okay, Mark, let me get there. You may have to look in our,
You can pass it around.
I don't think I have it in the slides. It may be in our exhibits. I cut and paste to make the PowerPoint work.
I was just wondering, because I heard you mention a wall, and I'm only seeing one wall. And I don't see it on the landscape plan or anything else. But it looks like a fence from the Cracker Club side.
What section is it, Amir? Do you know? detail B.
Well, yeah, and then this would show C.
Oh, here it is.
Well, I think this actually shows it pretty good here. But that's like CC, there's BB, so there's a bunch of,
That's the existing wall?
no,
That's the new wall. He wants to see the existing wall.
The existing wall's only like 1.5 or 2 feet.
Okay.
Paul?
The existing one is a little.
well, it's part of, it's kind of built in
Okay,
retaining.
we'll get there. You can bring, when they bring that up. So they will answer that in a minute.
Mr. Lyon, do you? Mr. Castro, hold on a second.
I'm sure.
Should we take public comments and then bring the applicant up, or applicant?
Normally, you will finish any questions you have of staff and then call the applicant up, and then other members of the public may speak.
All right, Mr. Castro.
So this, there's a question for staff or for the applicant, but the 2 retention basins, were those, were those included or are they new? Were they included the first time around or are they entirely new?
Yeah, they were not part of the original application, so through your asking, we had them put on the plan.
I know there's a plan that showed them as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna get there. We're just a little slow on the click. So you can see them there.
Yes.
Where?
They're right here. Here, and here.
Is it the city's civil engineers here or the applicants?
This has been reviewed by our city engineering department, and there are conditions of approval in the resolution that require them to meet all of the state's water retention, capture and release water. There are hydrology studies that have been done for the project, soil reports. It will meet all the state standards, and to let water just run off of the property is not what our city engineer would allow.
So these these retention basins are to capture that water?
Water, let it percolate and then release.
Any other questions of staff? I've got one. What is the process for us today? So if we make a motion to restudy again, do we have that ability? What limitations do we have in terms of quantities?
Right, so because this is a housing project, state law dictates that that it can be reviewed twice. This is the second review for you. So you either need to make a decision today, or you need to make a decision today, either to approve with conditions, or deny. If the project is denied, the applicant can appeal to the planning commission, or if you approve, anyone else can appeal to the planning commission, and then they'll review it.
Okay, thank you. Does everybody understand where we're headed tonight? Okay. All right, would the applicant like to come up and make a presentation?
Mark Temple.
Here, Amir, come on up and just sit.
Okay.
All three of you come up, so we're not up and down.
699 South Indian Trail, Palm Springs. Good evening. Appreciate everybody meeting here today to review and look at the project. We did make some comments and changes from the last meeting, which Glenn's kind of gone through, so I won't kind of go back through that. But we have increased the side yard setback to 18 feet. Now, as a side note, that's kind of interesting, the 2 condominium buildings that are adjacent to us, they are closer than 10 feet side yard setback to the property line. They're 9 feet and 8.8 feet. So we're almost double the side yard setback that we have versus what the condominiums existing have. And you can kind of see the property line there, and you can see that those 2 buildings are closer substantially to the property line than our structure. a little comment, on that colored grading plan, the colored reflected, and, includes the retention basin. And the drainage is complicated for the site, but a little bit of common sense helps determine why we have our building pad built at the 486.5 feet. The bottom of the wash, if you go to this grading plan, the bottom of the wash down here to the very left, the bottom of the wash is at 484.4 feet. That's only 2 feet lower than the pad. Now, the wash goes down substantially when it goes into the tennis club road. It drops about 6 feet. And so if we were to lower our pad, those condominiums would be in a jeopardy of major flooding. And I'm sure that when this property was developed, our property was built up, the rocks were moved onto our site because this acted as the original flood control barrier to the condominiums. Furthermore, at the beginning of our design, we met with the city engineer or the city department, and we established what was a safe pad height. And you can look at the grading plan and, kind of see what we have there. Now, the Santa Rosa PS LLC comprises of 2 members, Temple Construction Development, myself, principal, and I'm a permanent resident in the city of Palm Springs for 40 years. Temple Development has developed over 1,800 condominiums and Palm Springs within the city of Palm Springs, and feel we've had a very positive impact on the city. Now, the second member of the LLC is the landowner who's owned the property for 20 years, and he was the one that voluntarily designated the cabin ruins to become part of the Palm Springs historical community. It's all private property. It was voluntarily done, and it's a good thing. I think everybody wins from that. Now, we've been involved for the project for about a year now, and when we first got involved, we contacted and met with several surrounding homeowners. We've met with the tennis club HOA board.
No, you didn't.
Okay, well, I mean, I personally was on the site with the homeowners association board going through the project. I'll give you a few more details on that. The late Harold Matzner, because he's kind of the tennis club guy, city planning and engineering departments, and this was all well before we had a first public meeting. And it was in this process that we decided we'd build one house instead of 2, because it's a big piece of property, and it just evolved and it just made sense to do that. Now, in addition, during that process, that's when we determined or discovered that the tennis club condominiums, the developer or the HOA had encroached onto the property up to 7 feet. They've built retaining walls, drainage swells, walkways, all within these areas. Now, when we met with the HOA board, and it's probably been, 6 months ago, that I personally met with them, they had 4 or 5 members, and we showed them our designs, we went through it, and we discussed the encroachment and told them there was this issue, but we didn't want to make an issue out of it, and we said we'd grant you an easement, we'll keep the conditions as they are. It's what's there, and trying to be neighborly, that we would keep that condition as is. Now, and we've submitted a draft encroachment agreement for them to review. But they ultimately came back to us and said, look, get your project approved first, and then you can come back with us, and then we'll, finalize some agreement. But we're not looking to have them move anything. We just want to work together. And it's those swells that, are on our property that help the water on the condos get out to the tennis club road. And, even though this is a big parcel, the building pad area is, smaller, And it really does limit our ability. I mean, you know, we're up against the wash, we've moved away from the condominiums. You know, we feel the size of the house is very important, and the footage and the bedrooms and the, you know, ensuite bathrooms and stuff, because it is a spec home. And, you know, it just, this is what we feel is needed and is the appropriate design and size for this property and this house. And obviously, on the south side of our properties, all single-family homes, and several of those homes are actually two-story structures. You know, there's no 18 feet. I mean, you know, they're, you know, 2 stories. So, you know, again, we feel we've tried to be a really, you know, good neighbor. So we're pretty limited. You know, we got the Avery Cabin ruins. I mean, it's a little bit tight. So again, we feel we have been good neighbors. We've been considerate. We've been in the desert for a long time. We feel we've greatly, you know, contributed to the Palm Springs community, and we've done our best to appease as many people and, you know, and realize this view is an issue. But, you know, when you have a property next to a vacant lot, you know, I mean, views can't be, you know, guaranteed. And I know it's a sensitive issue, but, you know, we're not asking anything from the committee here on any height restriction, you know, we're within the restrictions of the height, the setbacks, all R1 designated guidelines, no exceptions. So we just feel we've coordinated, cooperated, we've made a lot of concessions along this project along the way, and we just look forward to getting it approved, and we appreciate your time and consideration and kind of here to help, you know, answer any questions and, you know, move this process along.
All right, are there any immediate questions of the applicant?
I have one real quick.
Sure.
You mentioned that the bottom of the wash is 2 feet lower than your finished floor elevation.
Yes.
Where, can you point to that?
Yes, I can. Well, I think, oh yeah, it's right here. You can see,
Would you mind using the other screen because it's much brighter and we can see it from
you
back
mean this
here?
one?
Yes, please.
Sure. So if you look at these grades, this is 484.41, 485, 485.54, and this is the wash. It comes right through here, and then it comes down and it goes right down the road for the tennis clubs. And I mean, you know, it rains, it washes, we're not messing with that at all. This is like at 478. So I mean, we're only 2 feet. Now granted, this keeps going down, and this here is like 488, 487. So I mean, this is just the height. So we're just kind of maintaining that to that. And if this was lower, I mean, that water could, you know, I mean, but again, you know, I'm not an engineer, it's complicated, but I mean, we've got the engineer here, and we met with, you know, the city engineer at the beginning of the project. And I mean, that's why the pad got established where it is. So you can just kind of watch the, you know, these flow
Yeah, but I mean,
lines.
okay, so what is that grade right there?
That's 481.
All right. How much lower is that than your finished floor?
9 feet.
Okay. All right. What is the top of the wash? Like, what's the grade up against your wall there, right, where we just looked at that?
Well, this is 488.
Okay. Beginning of,
Can you introduce yourself?
my name is Amir Fayyazrat. I'm civil engineer, been here 43 years, done 3,000 of them. Done probably about 2,500 grading plan and worked with almost everybody in desert. So this is existing flood control 20 feet wide and contour lines. Elevation of this pad, if you look at the contour lines, is 488. And our pad design is 8650. So the pad is 1.5 foot lower than where the elevation is right now. Beginning of the flood is 485. So my pad is 1.5 foot, only 1.5 foot higher than floor line. From here, when you get north of our property, elevation is 478. So we are about 85, 78.
Yeah, it
It's
drops.
8 feet drop, and the pad is only 1.5 foot. Our high point is here. This is already existing high point. We cannot lower this. If we lower, it's gonna be more flooding toward to north side. The boundary, I'm short, the boundary is here. The wall is here. Between boundary and wall, there is 7 feet. They are encroaching 7 feet in our property. And the floor line is in our property. Existing floor line right now is in our property. So we are not adding any more flooding or water or anything to their property. As a matter of fact, again, they're encroaching 7 feet. And we cannot lower existing high point, and we cannot really lower, this is all boulders anyway. We cannot lower this. I put basin here and back here, there's some drawing, shows that the color drawing.
Can you do me a favor? Can you just put your finger on
Wait,
executive
you'll have your
session?
moment, just wait. You'll have your moment. Let's get through.
Right there. I designed I met with city engineering. We discussed all situation, all path, all drainage, and I put one drain here, one basin here, about 3 feet deep, another basin up there. From this high point, all of the water is gonna go to that basin. From back here, it's gonna end up here. Overflow, gonna go to this easement we have, this 20-feet easement flow. So we are not really adding any more drainage to any of portion of this property because of those basin and flow.
Are you allowed to discharge any of your site water into the wash?
This is the reason we have hydrology just for our site, and we have hydrology for off-site. And the hydrology off-site shows this gonna take care of everything behind our property. And overflow, yeah, we can discharge. It's not gonna be any overflow anyway, but yeah, we can, it's gotta go somewhere. It's gonna end up in flood zone. And these are 3 to 4 feet deep. And these are based on hydrologic calculation we did.
Mario, yeah, this is your time. This is.
I wanted to push something on the point here, because I know, we were going on this. This is all hillside. All this water has to go somewhere, right?
Understood.
So our high
Mario,
point
can you
being.
introduce yourself?
My name is Mario. I'm the project manager here for Tempo Construction. And all this water ends up going to this high point and either going around our home. If we end up lower than that, it's just gonna go right through our home and flood us. So we cannot lower this for more than that high point. We have to be higher. We have to allow like a V shape for that water to redirect. So this being the high point where it directs to both ways, so you got a narrow that way and a narrow this way. All this water from the hillside, it has to, go either way on this point. If we do not do that, we will be underwater.
Our high point is only 1 foot different than pad.
Yeah.
So this is 86.5. The pad is the same as a matter
So,
of
I mean,
fact.
you can see how tight we are already to the back.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
we,
the same.
we moved the whole house further away to kind of give the neighbor more space for their view. But then now we're almost, like, we're really tight there to be able to disperse the water around us. And that was a major part when we were doing our hydrology because of all this water going somewhere.
So where does the water go now?
It
If
goes,
it's coming down the hill and it's hitting this,
Going to the
it's,
flood.
let me finish. If it's hitting this wall on the back, it's hitting an inanimate object at this point, so it's being directed north and south. Currently, there is no wall there, and that floor level is almost the same as where this level here is that level there, essentially, right? So right now, when the water's running down the hill, it should be running across this site. So when you say you're not redirecting the water onto the other sites, if you're hitting this edge and it's running this way and running that way, the water that typically would have run over this site is going north and south.
So right now, as it exists, it does not go through the site. This is the way it
Why?
exists now.
I tell you why.
Right.
The contour line is 488, and that's 86 and a half. That's 1.5 foot lower. So what, this is higher, 1.5 foot.
So the
water
existing lot
goes-
now is higher
Yeah,
than what we
this is
will
the
have.
contour line.
We're going down. We're gonna be lower than it exists right now.
Every contour line is higher than that.
Yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
so right now, the
Every
existing,
contour line here is higher than that point,
No, we are not saying that. We are saying the highest point is 488,
right? I see that right there,
487.
right
and
there.
Yeah,
485,
yeah, right. So
Which is
this
lower.
year, this year
That's
comes,
lower.
right. So
that's
this is
higher.
this is right off the flood. From there, existing does that. From here, comes back here.
so imagine the existing now is an extra 1.5 feet higher than what we will be.
My point is that now there's nothing there, so the water is running to some degree over this site. It may not be running at that exact spot, but unless the entire site is higher than this entire portion of the lot,
It is,
so it's you're saying right now the water's running here and it's doing this already?
correct,
You're just dropping a house on a piece of property
correct.
and it's already being diverted in the exact same way.
I mean, we're moving some dirt around, but as it exists now, this is at 488. So this is already, you know, 1.5 feet
It's
higher.
hard to believe, but go ahead.
So you're saying that the high point of 486 and a half is an existing,
Yes.
Yes.
it's an existing grade, and there's a channel, there's a currently a swale that's taking the water kind of around this
Yes.
property
Yes.
as it sits today.
And if
So,
you,
and so the house and this development of this house will not increase the water flow to the adjacent properties, north and south, or wherever it's going in any way, because the height of the site now doesn't affect the water flow.
correct. Right now, that part where the house is gonna be at now, it's actually higher, existing now as natural dirt. We're gonna grade it down 1.5 feet. You know, so we're actually gonna make it lower than what it exists as natural dirt now. See, this is the area right now. This is all that rock that goes down. This is where right now it diverts here and it goes around this way to the wash. So this section here is actually ours, up to here. So their landscaping, all this area, this is on our property. Okay? This is not on their property. We could have easily said, hey, this is our property, take it all down, we're gonna put a 6-foot wall right there. Right? I mean, this is our lot. But we're not. We're being a good neighbor here. This is where the water flows. All right? This is our property. This is not their property. They landscaped it.
Okay, any other questions of the applicant?
But I think if I understand them here, there's more water that's flowing through this HOA drainage swell on, you know, on this side of the property line. But now that water is now gonna get diverted here. So there's gonna be less water going to the HOA and we're retaining
of the
it here
basin,
and
yes.
we're retaining it back over here.
That's true.
And in fact, geez, we're out on the site there.
Yeah. But this is higher, just so
I'm
you
gonna
understand
see
that.
if I see any homeowners.
They might have more questions, but.
Okay.
Yeah, we're likely to have more questions for you guys once we hear public testimony. Any other questions of the applicant?
I do.
Yeah.
So the stone material change in the building, can you give me some background as to, I think I understand that you're to better relate to the ruins
Yes.
is why you changed it. Can you give me background as to, is it matching it? Is it a similar material?
We took a picture of it here. We have it on the materials list.
Mhm.
And we found whatever, the closest we can get, pretty much.
To the,
Go back.
I'm trying.
okay.
There's a delay.
So that bottom picture you see on the left there, that's the actual ruin.
Okay,
And the one right above it, that's what we found. They kind of matched as close as we can get. You know,
that's what you're changing it to.
that's what we're changing it to now. Because we had one that was not as close, obviously, to this color. It was a light, you know, honey color. Now we went to the dark that kind of matches the ruin. That's the existing in the bottom. That's an actual picture of the ruin.
All right, any other questions? All right, would you guys just take a quick seat and look at, are there members of the public wishing to address the committee?
Yes, we have a list.
We got a list, good. Who's top of the list?
And actually, we have two people online who want to speak as well.
Why don't we take the online persons first?
Thank you. Dan Bridge will be the first one.
Hello?
You can go ahead and call him up.
Hmm?
Dan Bridge is the first.
Are you able to get him on?
Yep. Am I here?
Yes.
Welcome, Dan. You're up. You've got 3 minutes.
Okay, thanks. I own one of the condominiums directly to the north of the proposal. And when I was first presented with the proposal next to my one-story condominium, I welcomed the idea until I saw the grade, the scale, and the proximity of the home. And during the last Architectural Review Committee, Rob Bernheimer read my concerns about the wall and the building that would tower over my home, given that it was to be built on that hill of debris from the 1970s construction of Tennis Club, instead of digging down to grade to lay the foundation. So the plan we see tonight, as I've looked at it, there have been some changes, but from my viewpoint, few substantive changes. Rob Bernheimer will show a rendering because he's there that has greater accuracy, I believe, than the developer's rendering on how the foundation of the outer wall would still begin above my head. And although the house has moved back a bit, I would still be looking at what appears to be 19 feet and more of feet or wall and house, blocking not a view, but the sky, making me feel like I live in an alley off of a warehouse. As I indicated during the last meeting, I hope the committee requires the developer to make the needed change of digging down the foundation to grade, adjusting the building scale so that it can fit in with the neighborhood. That's my statement.
Thank you, Dan.
Sure, thank you.
So the second person is Julie Jorgensen.
Julie?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. So my name is Julie Jorgensen, and I live directly to the north. I'm the probably most affected homeowner. And I just want to start with a couple of rebuttal points, I guess. But to Mark's point that he tried to meet with all the neighbors, we've repeatedly asked to meet with him. And you can imagine, just being a homeowner sitting there, and you find out like last Thursday that this is coming back up on the agenda. One of the biggest amenities we have in our neighborhood is our neighbors. And so we don't oppose something being built on this lot. What we're objecting to is that really the whole premise of the developer is taking is, how do I jam a 5,000 square foot house onto the very limited space on this site, given that it's a challenged site, it's a constrained site. How do I cram this in and get to build my 5,000 square foot house? And when they talk about an 18-foot tall house, it is situated on a slab that is 7 feet above grade, street grade. So it's really a 25-foot house. And I don't really know where to start with the contention that the hydrology is going to be fine. If you look at the rendering he put up that shows like the water going two directions, sort of like the Great Continental Divide, the part that heads north is the part I manage right now. And right now, the existing boulders and debris on the site act as a berm and stop the water from coming over. But there was such significant water coming off of this lot through the ages that my unit, prior to my owning it, got flooded out and when we bought it, we rebuilt the whole thing because there was so much water damage from water coming off of this site. So my lived experience is completely different than what these engineers are seeing in terms of calculations on the paper. My neighbors out on Santa Rosa Road, whenever there's a rainstorm, their patios flood the way it is right now. So this does not, adding 5,000 square feet of impervious hardscape cover cannot help me. And if you look at that diagram, they're assuming that when the water runs along the mountainside, on the west side of the house, that it's just going to magically take a turn to the west when it gets to my lot line. And that's not what happens. I also wanted to bring up the idea that Mark has met with the homeowners. I am on my HOA board, and he met with a president, and the president said to me, our fence line for time immemorial, since the 70s, has been over the property line. So I guess Mark went to the president and said, hey, you gotta, we aren't gonna make you move it. Well, we have a prescriptive easement to leave it there. I don't think it's a really big point. There's no wall. There's a low, maybe 1 foot retaining wall at the bottom, but it's a brick and it's been there forever.
Can you wrap up your summary, please?
So my summary, I did submit a letter. I want to say that the standards that the Architectural Review Committee has to apply have not been met. This is having to do with the hillside lot and the mission of the Architectural Review Committee. The House will not protect and respect the historically and architecturally significant historic tennis club condominiums as is required by code. It won't be compatible as is required. It won't, quote, observe continuity with surrounding development. It doesn't provide sensitivity to existing view corridors. And that's the mission of the Architectural Review Committee. And for these reasons, you should deny the application.
Thank you very much for your public comment.
Thank you.
Anybody else online?
We have the architect. He's available to answer any questions you might have.
The project architect's online, but he'll talk later.
In the audience wishing to address the committee.
Rob?
We have a list.
We have a list.
Rob Bernheimer. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening,
Can I ask a question before? May I ask a question of Julie? Is that okay?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
May I ask a question of Julie Jorgensen, who just spoke a second ago, for clarification?
Can you hold your question? It would be better if you could hold it, that we hear all public comment, and then you can ask further questions. Is that all right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
good evening. I represent some of the neighbors in the condos. I've served on an architecture review committee for my city, planning commission, city council, so I've seen these things. I don't think this is even that hard. If you look at your own code, this should be denied. Julie referenced it, but 93.13 of your code talks about hillside ordinances, and it says the ARC, you guys, are supposed to look at 7 things. And 3 of them are the size of the building pad, the continuity with the surrounding development. This is not, there's no continuity here. And the sensitivity to existing view corridors. So although Mark says, oh, you don't have a right to a view, well, when you're building a hillside home, you actually do have to consider what the view is going to be for the neighbors. That's your responsibility under the hillside ordinance. And here, we redid the diagram that I sent you, that I gave last time I was here, and you can see there's been no change. It's almost like the developer is telling you, I don't want to listen to you. You guys asked him to reduce the size of the house by 15%, and he reduced it by less than 1%. And what we're saying is, yeah, you have over an acre lot, but the building pad, which is what the code asks you to look at, what's the buildable pad on the hillside lot, doesn't support a 5,000 square foot house. It's too small of a building area, particularly because the Historic Preservation Board said, you gotta back off from the ruins, you gotta protect the ruins. That made their building pad even smaller. That's not our problem as the neighbors, that's their problem to build a size house compatible with the neighborhood. And this is not compatible with the neighbors. It's totally overblown. Julie was right. The plans say 18 feet. That's misleading. Your code says you measure building height from street grade, the street grade pad. So when they put 18 feet on the plans, it's a 25-foot tall house next to these 10-foot tall condos, which are 7 feet below their grade. So you have a massive structure being proposed, and all they're saying is, well, we can't reduce the building pad because of the flood. Well, you could. You would just have to spend some money on building something to divert the water around the house in its current standard, and then you could lower the grade. But they don't want to go to the expense of building the flood control that they would need to really be compatible with the neighbors to lower that grade down, because that adds money. And as you heard, it's a spec home. They're just looking to be able to say, well, we can build a 5,000 square foot house on this lot, so we can find the buyer to do it. So what we're saying is, they didn't come back and do the things that you asked them to do. They didn't really, you can see, they didn't fundamentally change how this house looks. And
Rob,
we think
please
you should
wrap it
deny
up. Thank you.
I have a question for staff, but I don't know if they'll allow me to ask the question.
Let's get through public testimony.
Can you hold that question, Danny? Okay.
Thank you.
Kitty Kylie Hayes.
Good evening.
You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Kitty Kylie Hayes. I do not live in the tennis club area. I have lived in Palm Springs for 81 years. And when I look at these pictures, I say, oh dear, this seems very unfair to me that one person can come along and build a house that would block the view of houses that have been there for about 50 years and make these people feel like they're living in a big city. That just seems mean-spirited to me. That's all. And I also think, why does a house have to be that big? Why can't they reduce it by about 25%? A 3,600 square foot house or a 4,000 square foot house would certainly be adequate for a family of 5 or 6. So I don't know why they need such a big house. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tempe Essel. Hi, Tempe. Good, thank you. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, I'll be very quick. I'm just going to reiterate some of the concerns that Julie brought up about hydrology. We had a friend who builds homes and has done a lot of work here in the city, and I realize the concerns we have is the water coming off. And I know that these gentlemen are professionals, but to say that the water goes north and south right now is a misnomer. It comes through the water, and the water does act. The stones do act, the boulders, as a way to defer it. When the water comes down, and none of you guys have been to the site, it comes down through the rocks and it goes into Julie's backyard and into the neighbors. They've had to build French drains in there to offset the flooding in her home. It barely contains the water now. If you have this huge impediment there, it's going to force more water to the north, which is going to directly impact that group of condos. And then it comes down through the French drain, which will overflow. It goes down into Santa Rosa for all the people that have condos there. But what it really does is it goes out the main road and it comes down Baristo. And if you've ever been on that road, it looks like a river when we've had those big rains. And it's a major concern for all of the neighbors. I live at 555 West Arenas, but it can come down our way as well as Baristo. So any way, and then I know they just put in 2 stormwater drains or whatever, but we don't feel the drainage system that they are proposing is significant enough to protect the neighborhood. End story.
Thank you. Mark Fishander, am I pronouncing that correctly? Mark? Close?
Chandler.
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 Welcome, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I really just want to, I just want to underscore what Rob was saying about the architecture. I just do feel the house is much too large for the site. I also want to underscore that it is a spec house, which means that when somebody buys it, how do we know that what is being presented now isn't actually going to change once a buyer is found. So I feel like they're just trying to maximize the site in order to, obviously get as much value out of it as they can, but I think it's much too large, and I think the issue of hydrology is really significant. I don't live far away, live on Panka, which is a cul-de-sac just to the south, to the north. So that's really all I have to say. I just think architecturally, it's too large. I think it's too high, and I think it's going to really block the neighbors to the north, and those are my points. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Foti? Vote?
Can you switch the illustration here to the hydrology piece, please?
1 second. Gotta wake up. Forward. I'm going forward.
Hold on a second. Go ahead.
What, you have a seat or?
I think it's just gonna be easier for me to, okay, so how about somebody puts their finger right now, right here, on Tennis Club Road in Santa Rosa? The end of Santa Rosa.
Nobody's
A pointer, Mayor, we need a pointer.
all the way up in the corner.
Okay, so we can't point on it. We've got Julie's black box over it. This is the whole story, is that corner. I live there, okay? You've got all the water coming off that mountain. The other thing you've got, which nobody's talked about, is the fact that Santa Rosa, the water also flows down to that point. It doesn't go the other way. So you've got all the water coming from Santa Rosa coming down to that point. Here's the point, right? Okay, here we go. So we say that this is Santa Rosa, okay? This is Tennis Club Road, which effectively is a sewer. Okay? Nobody gets that. The berm is this big, and all that water goes down Tennis Club Road and dumps into Baristo. Now, Baristo also has the water coming that way as well. So there is a confluence here when it rains that is intense. It's not nothing. So you've got one body of water coming down to that same point, which we can't put our finger on. You've got the water coming off the mountain coming down. And it's all hitting at the point of the dead end of Santa Rosa and Tennis Club Road, which effectively is a culvert with houses on either side of the culvert, like a foot off the ground. So you are punching a ton of water in there, and it floods in there to the point where you can't move cars or anything. The last time was what, 8 years ago, 7 years ago?
14.
Right, 14. So that is these holding pins of water. How are you discharging it when it's full? Do you have pumps in there? Are you pumping it out, and you're pumping it out to Tennis Club Road?
It has to be purified too, Mayor, I believe.
Let her finish her comments.
Yeah, Mary, you've got about half a minute.
Okay, great. That's all I'm trying to say is you got big water problems here, big ones.
Thank you.
This one's for you. That's it.
That's it? That's all that we have for speakers.
All right, I think we've got a couple of questions for staff.
Jackie, did you want to go first or Danny?
I just wanted to get some clarification from Julie. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but it sounded like she was implying that the developer only met with the HOA on one occasion, and that was to discuss the garden wall. Is that an accurate statement? Julie, you're still there?
Thank you, Commissioner. The accurate statement would be they came to say they would give us an easement for the existing fence and they met with the president, but it wasn't a formal. And I told the president, like, let's, as soon as this actually happens, we don't need a easement. The reason the fence is, I wouldn't care if they moved the fence over, if that's what they want to do, or build a 6-foot wall. That wouldn't bother me because what's in my yard is a huge French drain that we recently had to construct to manage the water coming off of their site. And so that's, I just want to make it clear that when I, as a homeowner, went to Mark on the first meeting and the second meeting at the historic board and said, hey, let's sit down, let's talk about this. And my attorney did the same thing. They didn't do it. And so, you know, we're just kind of chasing. On a Thursday, we find out there's this meeting and then we're trying to be responsive. But the bottom line is this doesn't, I'm not claiming I own my view. I am claiming that the Architectural Review Board has to make sure the existing site visual corridors are respected. And that's the unique purview of the board, and that has not happened here.
So you're saying that you're part of an HOA?
Yeah, I'm also, yeah.
You're the board president, you're the HOA president?
No, I'm on the HOA
You're
board.
on the HOA, and the HOA collectively did not have a meeting with the developer of this project. Is that accurate?
No, that's
Mr.
accurate.
President.
Yes, that's accurate.
Thank you.
Danny, did you have a question?
Yes, I do, thanks. This is an R1A zone, right?
Correct.
Is this subject to a hillside ordinance?
Yes.
There is a hillside ordinance? And is it accurate that those findings must be made?
Yes.
Okay. And is it findings that the Architectural Review Committee makes?
Yes. Is it compatible? Is it consistent with corridors? Yes.
And so in addition to the buildings, materials, finishes, and landscaping, we look at that as well?
Yes.
And then are views protected?
Views are not protected. But your discussion is it compatible with the neighborhood? But to say that you are guaranteed a view is not correct.
And another question, did the Planning Commission see this?
No,
No. Is it subject to Planning Commission review?
it's not.
No. And if this, let's say if this were denied this evening, where does it go from here?
There would have to be an appeal within 15 days, either way, and it would be reviewed by the Planning Commission.
Why did this bypass the planning commission before it got to us? I'm just curious.
Hillside
Typically-
houses.
Typically, hillside review is only subject to the ARC. So there's not a development permit and a major architectural. On hillside homes, it's just the major architectural. So you're evaluating it in terms of those both characteristics. Those of 9404 and those of 9313, which is the hillside ordinance.
Thank you.
And I have one question. So we've heard a lot about what street grade and what street level is. On this hillside lot, where did city planning or where's planning determine that the street grade is for this lot?
At the end of Santa Rosa.
And that is what?
As far as the height, I'd have to look.
479.
Right, I have it in one of my exhibits, but let's look. Bear with me here. You have it on your exhibit, you can zoom in, 479, yes.
So for street grade for this lot is 479.
Yes.
Is that around the whole perimeter of the structure that's trying to go up? So where would this, what would be the limit of a wall they'd be able to put on the?
Yeah, Member Thompson, and Mr. Lyon, I think you're gonna have to help us out here. If this were any lot in a non-hillside community in Palm Springs, we would be talking about street grade. But when we talk about hillside, we're not using street grade is irrelevant to establishing the heights from the adjoining properties. hillsides have their own unique
Yeah.
contours.
Let me clarify.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with a typical flat lot anywhere in Palm Springs, the way that you measure building height is you take the top of the curb plus 18 inches, and that's where we begin the measurement of building height. But building height is measured differently depending on the size of the lot. So this is a lot which, I don't remember the exact size of this, I think it's over an acre, am I correct?
1.57.
Huh?
1.57.
So when you have a lot in which the area is greater than 20,000 square feet, building height is measured from the adjacent grade of where that building pad is proposed. So in this case, you're not measuring from from street elevation, you're not measuring from top of curb, even if there was a curb. In this case, because of the size of the lot, you're measuring from the grade at the adjacent point where the house is sitting.
All right, any other questions for staff?
I have just two real quick.
Okay.
Is the wash protected or could that be regraded?
Oh, boy.
Well, the wash is a long-established drainage area. The applicant's not proposing to do that. The hydrology studies that have been done have never evaluated that. I don't know if you grade it, how the water would flow. I mean, now we have a clear path of where the water is going. To alter that, they'd have to evaluate it.
I think the accompanying comment is, I believe this is a recognized flood control channel by the Riverside County Flood Control District. And any modifications to an official flood control channel would involve the Riverside County Flood Control District.
Okay, that's kind of what I was getting at is, and then there was a comment made about, it's a spec home. How do we know that they're not going to just change it? If they made a substantial change to this, would it have to come back before?
Yes, if it gets approved in whatever form it is, that's what they have to build. And when they come through for plan check, we compare what was approved and then what the building plan check drawings look like. Now, after it's built and the applicant or the new owner wants to change anything, the house is built, they want to move walls, that would also be through a permit process.
Okay, I think we need to get the applicant back up here because I'm sure there's going to be questions.
Sure.
And the project architect is online too.
Yeah, I think this really has a lot to do with height and grading.
I'm gonna be right back.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's start with, we see that there's a flow line in the wash currently. And then there's, on another exhibit, there were two bounding lines parallel with the water flow. What are those lines? Are they 15 feet from the current flow line? What? And then the wall got established at one of those. Okay, back one more.
Yeah, they're getting there. Can you go back one?
One more?
That one.
Okay, there's,
Yeah, we got a delay.
on this exhibit, there's a flow line, and then there's what appear to be almost like a roadway, where there's exhibit lines running parallel with the water course. What are those?
I'm not sure if I understand the question, but I mean, this is the wash, that is the flow line. There is a road here that has an easement for a home that's over here, that's a driveway that they access to get to their property.
So it says 20-foot easement, water conservation district. So is that a no-touch zone? You cannot touch?
Well, I think that's been our thought early on is, we're not gonna mess with it. That was our discussion with the city, and we're not, what's flowing through, it's just gonna go through. Now, we are, having less water go in there because of our retention ponds. So, and there are certain grading and engineering requirements on how you have to handle the drainage and stuff for what's on site. But everything that's off site is just passing through.
Amir, can you tell us what the hydrology study said is coming off of the hill and hitting that western boundary?
It was the Q.
Yeah.
I don't have in front of me, but we did calculate.
Is it a lot of water?
It's a lot of water offsite, yes.
And
That's why
will your retention basins, are they sized
Yes.
for that?
Well, our retention basin is just for the construction site.
Just for the construction
Yes.
side?
Just for that 15,000 square feet. For offsite, we are using that channel. We are not doing any grading or any changes.
No, we understand that. So if, in fact, the water that was coming down the hill was a substantial rainfall, those two detention ponds would quickly get overwhelmed with this water that's being directed into them. Is that?
That's correct.
That's correct. If they get overwhelmed, does the water then get back out into this
It's gonna end up. in
water
that-
conservation district
Yes.
easement?
It's gonna overflow to that easement. It has to. There's no other way. That
And
water.
are you guys confident that the water coming off the hill will get directed into those flow lines around the house, not traveling north onto
We're gonna.
the tennis club property?
We're gonna design it that way. We're gonna put the flow line. We're gonna make it sure everything on site is gonna end up on those two basins.
And it looks like if we look at the section, there's a current downhill portion where the water, where Julie's saying she's put in some improvements to grab the water, but that seems to be downhill. Are you capturing that water uphill behind your retaining wall?
Yes, before you get to.
Before it gets to,
Her property.
Her
As a matter of fact,
property.
Our property, 7 feet our property.
okay, but before it gets to where they are trying to control the water, you're gonna be uphill from that on, behind your retaining wall?
Yes.
And is this a V ditch of some kind of concrete improvement, or is it just,
Well, we haven't designed the final one, but we're gonna design it somehow. We're gonna make sure with V-gutter, concrete, any kind of design to end up on that basin. This is something just show what's gonna drainage, where it's gonna end up.
other questions for the applicant?
What is the, what is the impact in lowering the pad on the site
That we can get flooded,
that you can get
that
flooded?
we can get flooded, we can get overtaken by the water
Well,
coming off
or
the hill.
even the condominiums. I think it changes the whole dynamics if that wash comes out and over. I mean, at least now it's channelized.
So like if you look at that flow comes from like beyond our property, right? And it's just kind of passing through. And right now it goes like around us into the existing street there that they have like a really high curb. That's where it's always flown. If we weren't there and it just kind of cut through our home per se, if we were at grade with them and it just kind of overtook it, it would go right through their homes too. It would take both of us. So right now, this is like a natural wedge going around and into that other street.
It's actually even coming down from La Mirada Drive, and we'd had developed 3 homes up there. And, it's that driveway, all that big street, it comes down. So it all kind of meets and goes through here, and
What is your response to the suggestion that you could lower the pad, but you would need to do a retaining improvement along that northern boundary of that 20-foot easement?
Well, right now, this is all rock, like, right down the street, we broke some tractors trying to move some rock. This is even bigger. So this is, I mean, if you say anything is possible, if you have the right amount of money where you're gonna spend more than the house type of thing, right? Originally, this is just all rock. It's just not, we would deform our hillside just to make it work. I mean, it just, I don't see how that's even an
Well, just,
option.
please understand, what we're trying to do is we're trying to find a reasonable solution here that provides water mitigation safety for the existing residents and allows you guys to improve something at some level. And so we're trying to thread that needle. And so this committee's hands, we don't have a lot of options. If we can find some middle ground here where we're working with you to improve the water flow conditions, improve the sight lines, improve things as they currently stand, we may be able to come to some sort of finding tonight with conditions.
So we thought we were meeting that condition by adding retention basins and doing that. That was our, our response to that. We added the retention basins to hold some of our water on our lot. Now, obviously, when there's that 8-year flood, I mean, it takes roads and everything with it, where our retention basins are not gonna hold any of that. But regular rains, it should be holding part of it, and that's why we added them. So that was our response to try to mitigate that. Now, the natural flow as it exists now, remember, you're seeing a line up above that we have 7 feet that seem to look like it's the neighbor, but it's not. It's our 7 feet. So part of their water is going through ours, and ours are going right there. So they also benefit. We all benefit by that 7 feet, because our water's going through it and also theirs. So that, what looks to be their side, it's not their side. It's 7 feet of it is ours. And that's where part of that water gets diverted and through it. So if, I know how she said, oh, we don't care if you did a wall at the, you would, because right now, I think one of the homes was the corner was 7 feet away from the property line. With the way that it's set up now, it's 14 feet away from what that little retention basin is at. So if we were to, in fact, create a wall there, I mean, they're 7 feet right up against her house almost. That's benefiting them, and now the water's 14 feet away from their home. So it's a benefit to them as well. The way that we're leaving the property on that side on.
Okay, I think we get the point. Any further questions of the applicant?
I have one. There's the plan that we're looking at there is color coded. There's green and then there's purple. So developed area north and developed area south.
Yes.
What is, can you just explain
Yeah,
that?
I explain.
Go ahead.
The north basin gonna cover the green area. The south, south basin gonna cover the other color.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, guys.
Now, I wanted to address something in the comments that came up. Can I do that?
Yeah, you can.
Sure.
Please go
So, I know there was like a visual corridor that they got mentioned. The one thing that we do notice is, can we go to the site plan that shows kind of their buildings highlighted a little bit there? That it shows the neighboring buildings? So there's one that shows it a little more, but on that building you see now closer to the, hillside, part of that building is a 2-story building that I believe Julie lives in the one behind it. Her main view is towards that side. So this is all part of their own development there. Now, I know they're focused on us. We're 44 feet away from the corner of her building right now. Obviously their own buildings are way more impactful against her view than we'll ever be. So, that being said, they have a section on that building that is 2-story.
Not Julie's condo though, that's just wrong.
Okay, well, whoever the owner of that condo is.
Story, and then farther down it goes.
Okay, let him finish.
Okay, so that being said, as far as that, we've eliminated some of our overhangs towards that side to allow for more view. We have moved our home away. We reduced our pop-outs that we had on the south side of the building so we could scoot the house over. We changed the angle on the master bedroom so that we could go further back. We've reduced the size of the garage to be further away. We've done a lot of things to try to be a good neighbor and accommodate their view as much as we can. And then as far as the size that they keep saying, the home directly to our west is 7,192 square feet. So obviously, we're not like just, oh, where's this big building coming out of when we have a neighbor that's way bigger than we are.
What neighbor?
So that's where, you know, those were the things we were trying to be a good neighbor there. You know, by moving the house away, eliminating those overhangs, changing the angle on the master, squinting the house back. You know, I mean, we're trying to be a good neighbor. I don't know what else to do.
Okay, anything else to add?
Thank you.
That's it.
You have a question for, okay.
You lost me in terms of the building shift.
Yes.
You moved it in what direction? Point.
Two directions. So we moved it, what would be down to your screen,
Yes.
you know, and we moved it left.
Okay, so this became tighter over here, correct?
So we had a pop-out before.
Yes.
We reduced that pop-out so that we can get our building closer to that side of, you know, the wash.
But when we move the angle, it, you know, we're right up against the mountain now, so you can see how it shifted. So it left a lot more area over there of kind of what you'd call open space.
So if you
You know,
see,
this
if you see
whole-
the master bedroom is that top left corner there of the building?
These angles changed here, so this got closer to the mountain, and then it just left more open area all over there.
Yes, and then all the overhangs on that side, we reduced them. So that way they could have a little bit more too. And that corner of the garage is what you see kind of at the bottom, not bottom, but top left of that, there it is. We reduced the garage size because that was like the closest to that building. So we eliminated a couple of feet from that. You know, other than just shifting, we also eliminated some of the size there.
Okay. Any other questions of the applicant?
I'm sorry, in the photos where you're showing the simulations, the photos of the existing condition shows a lot of mature landscape on the other side of the hedge that I'm seeing. Are you gonna keep that, or are you taking that out?
No, we're keeping it.
You're gonna keep all of those Palo Verde trees that I'm seeing?
Oh, let me see, let's look at that.
Let me get to it. It doesn't want to.
Because they're not showing up in your simulation. What I'm seeing are,
Okay, I was thinking this greenery on this side, but okay.
that's better, okay. I'm seeing a lot of existing mature landscape. And on your landscape plan, I'm seeing 36-inch box citrus trees in that same location.
Yeah, so we're keeping, so let's go to the landscape plan. It does show as an existing tree, the one in the back. It does show it on our landscape plan as staying.
So that's the one that the big one that I'm seeing.
The one that we saw in the bottom right corner of the photo right now.
Okay.
But
Sorry, we're going back and forth, so I have to
Yes.
find it.
And then all that water dish and all that, it has a lot of existing mesquites and different, you know, existing landscape. That's all staying.
Very cooperating.
Because I'm not sure that that's really being depicted in the landscape plan. I'm seeing one existing Palo Verde in that corner.
In that corner, yes.
That's it.
Correct. Well, the other one's like on the house, basically there, on the corner of the house. So the one that's out of our envelope we're keeping, which is on that corner on the top of the photo.
Yeah.
And all these other ones, you see that circle that has like a little cross in it? That's just a solid circle there? Here, let me.
This one?
Yes. So all these, that's what they mean. All these are existing, they're all staying. These are all existing. That's that sign that's existing.
Okay.
That are staying, all of these. So those are big trees.
That was all I had.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, thank you, guys. All right, let's have committee discussion. Who would like to start?
start.
Okay.
I think that, I'm looking at, just purely from a landscape plan is where I'm gonna start. They're spending millions on the structure and hundreds on the landscape is what I'm seeing. Everything seems really small to me. And when I look at the existing condition photographs, there's beauty in the existing landscape that's going to be missed, I think. If the house were shifted in such a way that some of that mature landscape could be retained, or if you put it back with bigger material, it would go a long way towards softening what is a very, very sensitive view currently. So 36-inch box citrus trees, I don't even know if you're gonna see those things above the wall. They're gonna be really small. And I don't understand, like if you wanna have citrus trees, they're located in a place, they're gonna be really hard to access for people to even get the fruit off of them. So there's no reason why those couldn't be big Palo Verdes, like big bombers,
So I got an answer for you on that one.
Okay.
When we came last meeting, that came up there if we had trees and part of that view to protect the neighbor, that's why they keep smaller, because that is the view that keeps coming up for the neighbor side.
All right, well, I'm not sure I understand that, because I think more landscape would be better than more building in that instance. I think people are objecting to the fact that they're just kind of looking up at a monster structure. So I think more could be done on that side of the structure, move the structure over, give more room to the landscape, retain more of the existing vegetation, and upsize the plant material. And I would pay a lot of attention to that location where you're hearing a lot of, there's a lot of sensitivity from your neighbors, and you could invest more to soften that with landscape.
Board members, I want to mention, I just passed out to you the findings out of 9313, which is the Hillside Ordinance. And as it notes there, it says architectural approval is governed by this section of the zoning code. Such architectural approval shall consider but shall not be limited to the following. This is what Mr. Bernheimer was referring to in the ordinance. Rock and soil exposure. Number 2, size of building pads. Number 3, design considerations. Number 4, screening of parking areas. Number 5, landscaping plans. Number 6, continuity with surrounding development. And number 7, sensitivity to existing view corridors. We would normally have these in the staff report, and we overlooked that in this particular staff report. But these are the items in addition to the findings and criteria at 9404 that you may consider when you're looking at these projects.
Okay, further discussion.
I'm certainly sensitive to the view corridor issues that the neighbors are experiencing. But I think my biggest concern is the hydrology. I just don't really feel like we have adequate visibility into how that water is gonna move around that structure of that size. And so I personally would like to see, at least it hasn't gone to planning, so I'd love to see, engineering take a look at that so we can get an objective, unbiased approach. I mean, that is a major concern for me.
Yes, Member Castro.
I agree. I agree to some extent to what Committee Member Thomas is saying. I feel like what has been initially presented, so I'll back up. Some development's going to occur on this lot, whether it's now or whether it's 5 years from now, whether it's 10 years from now. And it's just how it gets designed. But there's going to be disruption regardless of the way things are now and what they'll be later. even with drainage, it's
Mhm.
gonna change.
Sure.
And it's just, again, I do have concerns because it'll be a new development on the site. I am sensitive to view corridors as well. But it also needs to be understood that there's gonna be height added to this site. It's a hillside site, and there'll be view impacts. There'll be view impacts and, adjacency issues, all of that. Procedurally, when this was presented to us, it was about building materials, colors, facades, landscaping. Had we had a bit more information in our reports that address these, which I think are very valid concerns, these findings that for hillside development standards, that the Planning Commission and/or Architectural Committee reviews, I think we would have had maybe a more broader, comprehensive review of this the first time around. And I understand it's either one or the other. Procedurally, and I guess I feel that this should have gone to the Planning Commission before it came to the architectural. But I understand that's just the way the process is. However, the Planning Commission could get a bite at it as well. The Planning Commission does have, or more germane to those sort of more broader compatibility issues than this committee, in my opinion, that we look at. So that's all I have to say right now.
Okay, additional discussion.
I'm trying to organize my thoughts, and it's a bit of a battle. The areas that I have alarms going off are the site plan, the second is the proposed structure itself, and the third is what this process has been. In terms of the site planning, you have done your homework, and I understand the extent of the engineering that's necessary to be able to advance the arguments that you have made. Short of dueling expert witnesses, I'm believing what I'm seeing and hearing in terms of the engineering that has been laid out. So I'm not really questioning that, but it sort of takes us to the issue of the proposed structure. I think it's got a huge problem of size, and all has fallen from that. I think the quandary that we find ourselves in has been aggravated immensely by kind of a programmatic approach that it's as though the program got put together to put this house of this size and this many bedrooms here, and on that lot. It seems to be an afterthought to get those two things to marry up. This has not been a particularly design delicate approach to the site that I'm seeing. The elements that are catching my eye are issues of, I realize, and I think I probably was, I said there needs to be some relationship with the existing historic ruins that you have there, but the material, if you don't hit that exactly, it looks bad. I worry about some of the elements, the exterior elements that I see on this, as they could not pan out to be necessarily the attractive things that you would want them to be. And then in terms of process, the size issue wasn't thrown out here as a lightweight consideration. And I feel like when you went away and reviewed and incorporated the comments that came out of this board, that you didn't hit them all. And that is one, and a couple others here that just kind of make me uncomfortable. The other thing is, it's very difficult for us to hear is we did meet, we didn't meet. This carries with it a responsibility to reach to the neighbors, effectively document, and bring to us what that process has been. So, but now at this point in the process, we're in a corner, and it's not a good spot to be in. So You know, I kind of think if approached a little bit differently, I feel as though all of these elements could be solved. But I'm not feeling particularly hopeful at this point.
Thank you, Member
All I
Well
have
said.
to say.
Well said.
Member Thompson?
Well, I think John just pretty much said everything I was trying to figure out how to say. Because I didn't know where to go with this. I didn't. The hydrology is an important part of it, and I do think that needs to be looked at closer. And we kind of got so caught up in it, we didn't actually talk about the structure itself, and I do think that the structure itself could be improved and enhanced from what it currently is. And I'm disappointed in how it came back to us.
Bob, any thoughts?
I think the one thing that struck me about the, the documentation of the project is that the context is missing from most of the drawings, most of the elevations, most of the 3D renderings. I don't see the neighbors. I don't see the scale of the neighbors. The views are oftentimes from the middle of the wash looking back at the house, the long views. The views make the site look really flat. Some of the sections make the site look really flat. And because that seems to be a big concern, is the sheer scale of the building on the site, it feels like, I don't know if it was intentionally ignored, but it feels like it was. And so when I look at the 3D renderings in particular, when I'm looking back at this building, there's almost no context in the neighborhood to talk about the scale in relation to the other buildings. There's no, that's the thing that I struggle with probably the most, is just trying to understand how this sits in the neighborhood, because the neighborhood's missing. So that's the thing that I'm, keep going through the imagery and the drawings and everything else, and that's the thing that I feel is missing.
All right. Mr. Lyon, in light of 9404 and list of findings here, what other options would we have? I mean, in a perfect world, we would have had this information at the first meeting, as Member Walsh said. We would have directed more specifically towards those items. And now we find ourselves trying to backpedal into them. And we don't really seem to have the latitude today to ask them to restudy something and come back to us. So why don't you run through our options again?
Well, here's what I think I've heard you say, both at the first meeting and at this meeting. And I'm going to look at both 9404 and I'm looking at the 9313. I'm going to start with 9313. The things that you started talking about at the last meeting was the size of the building pad. When Mr. Walsh was talking about the building needing to be reduced by at least 15%, you guys have continued to speak to the size of this house as being possibly not right for this particular lot. So that falls within 9313 and those findings. I've also heard you say things about the building arrangement and color. And that falls into 9313 as well, item 3. So there's a particular concern that you guys have expressed, and John, again, spoke pretty succinctly about it. Like, if you miss these colors, you're really going to have a mess. I think, paraphrasing, sorry about that.
You could say it in Latin, but that's.
I've also heard you say now at both meetings that there were concerns about the building arrangement and the way that it is configured on the site. That this is not only a large building, but it's a rather sprawling building. Now, I don't know if building arrangement is part of what you're talking about, but it seems like that's what I've heard twice now, at last meeting and this meeting. I've also heard you say, and I've heard the public make comments about the consistency or the continuity with surrounding development. You've made those comments both at your last meeting and I've heard them today, both from the public and from some of you. And lastly, there is a question about the sensitivity to view corridors. And before we start touching on things of view corridors, I will repeat what one of you already said, is that you don't own your view unless you own your view. Now, that doesn't mean that we totally ignore it, but there has been concerns here about the effect of this building, even though it is within the height parameters for a normal R1A site. This developer is not asking for increased height through an administrative minor modification, which he had a right to do. He's not. But again, you have been concerned about the height of this building, both in the previous meeting and in today's meeting. So you have the ability to make findings, and you are required, I will remind you, to make findings on the basis of your decision. So if this is something that you're going to approve tonight, based on the staff recommendations and the staff findings and the criteria and the staff report, you may do so. If you wish to make a recommendation or a decision to approve with considerable conditions along the lines of what you're talking about, you could do that as well. Or if you feel you have findings that are solid enough that you are prepared to make a denial, you have that as your prerogative as well.
Can you give us some guidance? If we make substantial conditions on the project,
I didn't hear that.
if we make substantial conditions as a matter of approving the project, does the applicant have to follow that, or can they appeal it to another body?
They can appeal. If you were to put in place significant conditions of approval that would adjust or change this design in order to get it to the point where you can get an approval, yes, they would be required to do those things to this design before it goes into building permit. And if they did not agree with your approval, with your conditions, they can appeal that.
Does the committee think we can get to a series of conditions that improve the design to the point where it becomes a good piece of architecture for the community? Or is that a fool's errand? And
It's a big ask.
It's a lot to unpack.
It's a lot. I'm not about to design drainage tonight. At least me. We could pick landscaping, we could pick out colors and materials and size of building and all that, but it's just, it's a big ask tonight.
anybody see a way forward here?
And I say that because I want it to all work. I really do. I respect both, those who are here, who are concerned about the development, as well as the project applicant who has worked very hard, I'm sure, getting to this point. So I don't mean that in a way that I'm not willing to work, but. I just have a question. So if this committee were to deny, because what's in front of us is not, in fact, all agreeable to our concerns and our design considerations, then the applicant has the ability to appeal that denial, in which that will go to the Planning Commission.
Yes, they can
And
appeal.
all
to
the
Planning
comments and considerations that we've made here can then be decided upon the applicant to determine whether they would like to make those changes to go to the Planning Commission.
They could revise the project to go to the Planning Commission. It's basically a new review.
And they haven't seen it either.
Haven't seen it before.
And could they then have us re-review it if there were substantial changes made between
Yes, they could send
No.
it back. They can't
I,
send it back.
I don't think, I think once this is appealed to them, they will
That's
have
it.
the final decision.
Right.
They would not refer it back to you. And if their decision, let me just run a scenario. If your decision tonight was to deny this application, and they appealed this to the planning commission, and the planning commission upheld your denial, then it would go to the city council. So that's the way that the appeal levels go. But if you were to make decisions tonight and try to condition this to the point where you can get a majority of you that will approve this, that's what you are requiring the applicant to do. And if they choose not to, then they could appeal that also. So they could appeal your denial, they could appeal your conditioned approval. That make sense?
Yep. Yes.
It's hard to see a way forward. I mean, I suspect that we could certainly make recommendations around color and material tonight. And we could even make some concessions or some recommendations around arrangement of the size and sprawl. But I think I agree with John. I think the process is broken. How do you go back and unbundle all of that with feeling like you're part of the community and getting the neighborhood to have some impact in designing something that you think is appropriate for the site? And, you know, this is the second time we've seen this, and the modifications that have been made based on our primary recommendations doesn't feel like it was well addressed. And so that to me, I mean, the pad size was reduced by 15%. So that doesn't feel like somebody that's really willing to work with the committee. So I think giving recommendations and then not having visibility into that, I'm not sure that that's the right process. And I would like to get the engineering to take a look, because like you, I mean, hydrology is above my pay grade. And that is a major concern for me, given the feedback from the neighbors. I would like to get some better visibility into that from Rick and his team.
Member Walsh, did you have something?
I believe, Jackie, you hit the nail on the head, and I think your walk down memory lane, again, was valuable.
Mhm.
Because we've been here, we were here, and I think we spoke clearly, and it's frustrating, because I think it kind of didn't have to come to this struggle to get this thing over the top. Yeah, so I'll make a motion to deny.
And I'll second. Any further discussion?
I want to make just a clarification. In your motion, you're denying it based on what findings are you finding that have not been met, that you're therefore making a recommendation to deny?
9313, the size of the pad, color and materials, arrangement on site and sprawl, continuity with surrounding homes, and the view corridor. And then the big one being hydrology, real questions around hydrology.
Do you
And
accept
then the
that as a
process.
friendly amendment?
And then the process
And landscape.
and landscape.
And what is the aspect on landscape, just so we're clear?
Too small a tree.
I just feel like that there's, hasn't been enough attention given to creating a better buffer towards the neighbors.
Okay.
I think there was a request to upsize the plant material. It feels underwhelming for the site.
Okay. Does the motion maker and the seconder accept those friendly amendments?
I do.
Yes. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Member Dillon?
So remind me, yes means denial,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. Member Castro?
Yes.
Member Thompson?
Yes.
Member Elliott?
Yes.
Member Walsh?
Yes.
Vice Chair Thomas?
Aye.
And Chair O'Donnell.
Yes.
Motion carries to deny the application.
I have a quick request.
And for the applicant,
Yes.
as Glenn mentioned, if you want to appeal this, you have 15 days from today to make that appeal application. And speak with Glenn if there's confusion or anything about that that you want further clarification.
Yeah, well,
Thank you.
Yep.
4-0071. Development permit dash 2024-0008 and AMM 2024-0012. Ken Lyon, do we have a presentation?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a 2-unit residential project on a quarter-acre lot at the corner of East Cottonwood Drive and North Via Merrill Est. I'm going to run the slides through briefly and summarize the project. Whoops. So the project scope is a vacant quarter-acre legal non-conforming lot in the R2 zone. The proposal is for 2 attached 2-story dwelling units with 2 attached 2-car garages. The number shall be 2. The water-efficient landscapes and standard street improvements. Oh, boy. Here's some site context. So in the middle there, you see the vacant lot, which is a roughly 100 by 105-foot lot, and the surrounding existing development. Most of it is from the 50s and 60s. There's a condo complex cutty corner across the lot, which is in the upper right-hand corner of this slide, which was done, I think, about in the early 2000s. So this is the site plan, and you see the landscape plan. As you can see, these are 2 identical units, essentially, placed pretty snugly on the property. In addition to the major architectural and the development permit, the applicant has submitted, and the director is willing to support, an administrative minor modification, which did some modest reductions in the setbacks along the north and the east side of the project site. These are the 2 primary elevations. So the image there on the left is the front elevation of the project as it's facing Via Merrill Est, and the one on the right is facing toward the west. As you can see, even though they are attached at the first floor, the upper floors have been separated to allow light into both of those second story areas from both sides. And here is a section which helps illustrate that a bit further for you. These are the floor plans. So at the left, you have your first floor plan, the second floor plan, and your roof plan. You can see there are photovoltaics also proposed. And the Planning Commission heard this project on October 14th, and they approved the project with some suggestions that they wanted the ARC to consider. First, to specify the inert ground cover or gravel in a sand color, not white. A COA, a condition of approval, has been added. The second is to specify a privacy hedge other than the ficus. The applicant changed it to bougainvillea along Cottonwood and pyracantha along the west property line behind the pool. And to add more shade trees on the Via Merrill Est frontage, which the applicant has added one. So the staff recommendation for you is to approve the major architectural application based on the findings in the staff report with the conditions outlined in Exhibit A, along with the conditions that were recommended by the Planning Commission. Paul is here to answer any other questions, and I'm here to answer any questions. I think the basic thing to summarize on this project is it is a difficult substandard lot. As you know, many of these lots that sit vacant are sort of now the hardest ones to develop, as we see around town. And so as we looked at it, we felt like this was a good composition for this particular site. As you note in the staff report, the density, just based on square footage of the lot, could be greater. They chose not to try to push more density onto the site. And I think the density that they've come up with here in these homes is a reasonable one. And that's why we've made the recommendation for approval. Paul, if you want to come up and I'll answer any questions, and then you can ask questions of Mr. Mosteller.
Yeah, well, if you just hold on one moment. Any no, you can sit, have a seat, please.
No, stand.
Backflips.
Yeah,
Any questions of staff?
just, do you have any insight into why the Planning Commission asked to have the hedge material changed from ficus?
I think generally they don't like ficus. It's considered to be a water-thirsty plant. Part of the reason that they recommended something else behind the pool is because it's a fairly narrow area, and they know that ficus can, over time, build some pretty aggressive roots. So I believe that was their primary concerns.
Thank you.
Any other questions of staff? Okay, take it away.
My name's Paul Moss Stoller. I'm the designer and the draftsman on the project. I think
Paul, you may have to speak up in this room
sorry.
because the microphones are in the ceiling.
And yeah, I think you covered the project really well. There are two owners, they're lifelong friends that are building the houses. They wanted to keep them pretty identical so one person didn't have a better property. And yeah, so that's why we're doing the 2 units there. Context-wise, you see it's a lot of multifamily in the area. And then it's not too far from Movie Colony, actually, so there are some single-family homes. We didn't want it to feel too multifamily. We tried to keep it slightly more single-family and feeling by breaking up the top floor. I think the scale fits nicely. Pretty much it, if you guys have any questions for me.
I have one. The windows that face each other on the second level, are they like clear story high windows? They're not intended for,
Yeah.
just for really to allow light to come in, but not.
Exactly. So the south unit has larger windows that are in bedrooms, but the north unit has just high clear story windows that are bathrooms. Bathrooms, but they're high clear story.
Was solar situated in between these two, or?
So each one, the roofs aren't connected, so each one will have solar.
What is the height of this building compared to the one that's kitty corner to it?
Sure, the height of the catty corner one, I do know it's 2-story.
Yeah. I was curious because all the other buildings around they're pretty low-slung, one-story buildings around there. So that was the context that I was curious about the height. Can't quite read the height on my drawings because it's a little blurry.
Yeah, the height on this building is 24 feet, and the height on that building, catty corner, would be 24 feet also, because it's also within the same R2 zone, and that's the maximum height for that zone.
Okay. So I have another question, and it's about finish colors. So as I'm looking at the drawings, I have an A600 drawing that is calling out a series of colors, white stucco, raked white stucco. It's calling out champagne-colored window frames. And then when I go to the next drawing in my packet, which is A602, I'm seeing a secondary color of stucco and black frame windows. And when Ken was showing the images up here, there were black windows on one, champagne on the other, and the front doors were different colors. So what are the proposed colors?
So I'm not quite sure what happened, but we did update the renderings. So the black and white drawings are correct.
Okay, so the one I'm looking at here with the sort of tanner color of stucco
Yes.
happening there, is that not in play now?
No, that is correct.
That's the right.
Yeah,
Okay.
the all white, which is being shown right now, is old.
Okay. This is the one that I was looking at, the unit on the south has champagne frames and black on the north, yellow door, green door. I've got black windows, tan, I got a blue and a green door, so I was.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, but
Did I put the wrong image in on this one?
I think so.
Okay, you can be honest.
Blame planning.
So this image that I have is the intended finished palette.
Yeah, that's my hair. So the one that you're looking at that has the blue door and the green door is the correct elevations. And Paul is correct that the two lower images do show the darker frames on the west elevation. I apologize, that was my mistake.
And this shows already the ground cover being the not white. I think our materials show that.
The one with the blue door shows, yeah, not white any longer on the gravel.
And also the
Yeah, both of them.
Okay.
Any other questions of the applicant?
I have a question. Is Bougainvillea going around near the pool to replace the ficus hedge?
So we were, planning commission had recommended different hedges, so we went with a pyracantha. But actually, I did kind of have a question for, the architectural review committee. We were kind of wanting to go back with the ficus, on the west side, close to the pool. Only because the alternative hedges are kind of messy, really close to the pool. And we were thinking about using root barriers to help mitigate, any damage to the pool. And then also, I believe the roots, as long as you're maintaining the hedge, they don't tend to get too out of control. It's when they get pretty large that those spread pretty significantly.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Member discussion.
Those are quite handsome. I think it's a really nice design. I like it. With all the big box stuff that's come before us, I actually think it's a really nice design. I know you're going to disagree, but I do like it. I like the dimension, the rake stucco. I think it's really interesting, and I think it'd be a nice addition to the neighborhood.
Okay.
I think it's a wonderful example of what happens if you stay away from the highest density possible sometimes. This has given you a liberty to do a very good plan, very simple. It will be a cinch to construct probably. But you've detailed it nicely. So I think you've done a very good job and used good judgment.
Yeah. And lots of shade structures.
Okay, I'm gonna kind of weigh in here.
Here we go.
Yeah, can we stop it?
I'm confused by the upper levels. The southern unit chooses to open its windows to the north and into the adjacent unit's wall. And to my mind, the plan would improve immensely if those windows were put on the south side and that little eyebrow that appears to poke out to the south was actually an overhang of some 4 feet or so. And I think what you would get then is you would get an overhang and you would get a consistency down that edge that made the building really have a great shadow that animates the facade. And then I would be of one of two minds. I would almost mirror that same roof profile. So the thing that's most troubling to me is we have 2 7-shaped roofs that don't actually shade the south. And to my mind, these would be back to back. So one would be grabbing a wonderful southern view, not looking at the unit next to it. The other one would turn itself in the other direction and have a northern view and then down into the yard, and then we could landscape the privacy to the neighbor. And I know that the emphasis here appears to be to the west. Deep west overhangs, deep west shading and living, but I think where it falls apart is almost a relentless nature of, I've got these two buildings, I'm gonna make them the same on the upper side, but it misses the view, it misses the passive solar orientation that one of the units can have. And it just, on that front elevation, there is a dishonesty to what it's trying to tell us it is. It's trying to tell us that it has something going on the left-hand side or the southern side, and it doesn't. And so that's where the confusion for me just starts.
So
The rear's fine, but it's just the front and the way that overhang is pretending to have a southern orientation to it, but it doesn't.
So are you advocating rotating the southern?
Well, if I were doing it, I'd bring the stair up on the opposite side.
So is it flipping the floor plan?
I'd flip the plan.
Okay.
Just flip the plan.
Flip the plan and then give it a decent overhang to the south so that you had good solar control on those windows.
Come up if you want to speak.
Yep.
Yes, please.
Stay up here.
One issue we had is because it's on the corner, and if we mirror that house on the south, the garage and the driveway, it's.
Ken, can you pull up the site plan so we can see the corner cut off? I think that's what he's alluding to. So, if I look at the corner cut off in the driveway, so this is the corner cutoff.
Yeah.
If the drive were coming up here, the corner cutoff is a visibility, it's a visibility sight line. It's not a, you shall not build in this zone. You shall not build something that blocks a view. But a driveway, you could build that driveway in that corner cutoff.
I think part of the problem, and I'm not trying to dismiss your recommendations, is engineering has a certain distance between the intersection of the corner property lines and the first driveway. I don't know off the top of my head what it is, but I know that was part of what I think engineering was having conversations with Paul early in the design of this project. And I believe, Paul, you can refresh memory maybe better than I. The reason that driveway got located in the somewhat the middle of the site was because engineering didn't want it any closer to the corner.
We had to keep it as far away as possible for traffic safety.
So if you were to keep the garage in the first floor configuration like you see it, I think to achieve what you're talking about with the second floor,
Pull the second floor up.
yeah, would, let's see here. Hold on. There it is.
Okay, so then, in order to make that work, this has to move here, which is where the garage is.
Is that separation of the upper two floor plans representative of the distance in real life?
I can't tell on this drawing because they're kind of copy and paste, but it's pretty close.
Because I guess it would be, because if you look at the roof plan, they're sitting in that same space.
Yeah, the section that you saw a little earlier kind of illustrates it a bit better. If I can get to it. There you go.
Yeah, so
It's
they are
kinda
kind of
close.
justified to the right.
It's kind of close.
So the one to the north has clear story windows or full windows?
Clear story.
So all of those bedrooms have clear story windows, but
No,
not
no,
full windows
the clear story happens by the stair,
on the south side. So the
Correct.
north side of the north unit,
has windows.
those are full-size windows.
Yep.
Same on the south side unit.
Exactly.
The south side unit is staring at the wall of the other unit.
And are you saying that it just affords a better view for that second level on that?
So right now, these windows are looking into a wall.
Right.
if this were able to be flipped, then these windows would be looking
South.
Tahquitz Canyon, Palm Canyon, across town.
It's tough because like you see the staircases are pretty much in line. If I were to flip it, this is the setback. So all of this would be coming over here. It wouldn't conform with the setbacks.
No, the whole thing would flip. So the challenge is the driveway and the garage and engineering's distance from the corner to the garage. That's really the challenge. Does anybody see a clever solution? My mind goes to a tandem garage that's long and deep, and then everything can move over. Probably screws the plan up on the ground floor. Could you bring the driveway in at an angle and still access the mirrored garage?
Is the setback on the east side of the property similar to the setback on the south side? Is it 20 feet in both, or is it deeper?
Yeah, I think it's 20 feet on both.
I was thinking coming from the south of the garage, just take the plan, but the same issue with the relationship between the driveway and the corner.
Paul, you did go through an exhaustive schematic process, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I'll just say, on the other hand, I'm okay with the layout.
Well,
Yeah, I like it.
I think you poured yourself into minutia, getting it right. We get it. Okay. I am curious, though, kind of the space in between the two upper stories is not fully developed, just in terms of building envelope. And so I'm sure you also tried bringing those together.
Yeah, at
Yes.
one point.
And it didn't work.
Yeah, I don't think that, again, it kind of became a mirror situation.
Yes.
Because the upper floors were joined. So, no, I'm thinking back quite a while.
You're gonna run home and look at all those schematics and think, why did I do that?
One solution may be, I know it's not a perfect solution, but we might move for bedroom 3, the large window up to the front. And
Yes.
then that middle bedroom, that middle guest bedroom would be the only one with a compromised view.
It feels like you should be able to have an identical unit and either flip it, pancake, and have them absolutely mirror, or something sort of breathtakingly simple like that.
Yeah.
But it didn't work?
No, it was tough, again, with the driveways.
Yes.
And I think that keeping the units identical, that was important to the owners.
Uh-huh.
They didn't want
Quirks or things that,
significant differences in them.
okay.
So with that in mind, the idea of utilizing that roof outside those 2 bedrooms as an outdoor space would probably be something that the owners would think that one had the better rooftop access than the other.
I'm not sure if it's even either. So there would just be like a sliver of balcony for the
Well, the
south.
guy who agreed to take the windows looking into the neighbor's wall, he's already getting in the short end of the stick, so,
You should have
yeah,
a lounge
any
chair.
amelioration we could do out there, a deck, a vine growing on that wall, whatever it is.
Looking at a white wall.
Yes,
It is a
it's,
little bit of a missed opportunity, though.
it's not a very successful space because much of the rest of the design has a wonderful elements to it. But it kind of catches, I think, our collective eye here, that it's kind of no man's land in between these 2 upper levels.
I think elevation wise, it is nice to have them separated. It does break it up.
Mm-hmm.
Gives it relief, yeah. I mean, yeah, they could grow a vine. Could have it, yeah.
And I do think the owners would be open to moving that window in the front bedroom. And then, I mean, it is multifamily. They are fairly densely built together. I think there will be a compromise somewhere, and it might be in that guest bedroom not having the best. They're friends. I'm sure he would allow plants to go in front of that window.
Let's hope they remain friends.
I know, remain lifelong friends.
If you were to put the larger window on the front of the building, do you have enough room for the bed and 2 side tables on the shorter wall?
I'd probably rotate the bed.
Well, that's my point. It's on a longer wall right now. If you rotate it, do you have enough room for the bed and 2 side tables in that space?
Yeah, I think so. It's a little tight. It's 10'4".
I'd like that, because it changes from.
Yeah, kind of like the minimalist, you know, the sliver.
Look at the elevation.
That one?
Yep. So the thing that I'm really struggle with is knowing that that has a bunch of windows in it, and this architectural element is telling me that there's something over here, but there's nothing over there. So does that thing flip?
Is it okay to look at the south elevation?
I don't think I have it in the PowerPoint. You have it in your packets. On sheet 602.
So on the south elevation, it's the 3rd story at the stairs, the only one. That up.
Yeah,
So that's basically the view that the south unit would have looking at the north.
One on the right hand.
Yeah.
That's what?
Oh, this is on the north side.
So what's the slide?
That's the south.
What is that finish on the north side?
On the north side, on the upper floor, raked stucco.
On the north?
Oh, I'm sorry.
On the
north
south, it
side.
looks smooth.
Yeah, it
But
looks
the
like
south
it's all
side?
smooth on the north side.
On the north side, it is.
Smooth.
Sorry.
So it's smooth trowel, it's like a smooth, like,
Yeah, smooth stucco.
All right, if I'm the only one having heartburn here, then somebody make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
can we just, real quick though, he asked about switching to ficus,
Yes.
which I tuned into
Oh,
because that's,
right.
nobody else is gonna think about this, I don't think, at the table other than.
I asked the question.
You did,
I
good for
did.
you, good for you. I mean, I support that because pyracantha is thorny and
Yeah.
we got it right next to the pool and it
Yeah.
just doesn't seem very.
That's-
And bougainvillea is even worse.
I'm in agreement with that.
Yeah.
So
So I wondered why
I
they
like the
switched
root
that.
barrier that you want,
We'll add the
that will
roof.
help,
Yeah.
because they can get invasive too, yeah.
Okay.
So that probably needs to be part of the motion.
That's absolutely fine.
I'll second it.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Further discussion?
So if I can get clarification, so the motion is the findings in the staff report as presented with the exception that the
Reverts back to
landscaping
ficus.
behind the pool is to remain as ficus? Is that correct? Was there anything else?
Changed back to ficus
Correct.
Changing it back to ficus, right,
with the roof area.
with the root barrier. Got it.
All right, roll call vote.
I'm sorry?
Who was the first one? Who moved?
Can't hear you.
Who was the first one? Who moved and who seconded the motion?
Who firsted and who seconded the motion?
I said.
Okay, Dan firsted and Bob's seconded. Okay.
Charles.
Oh, Charles, I'm sorry. I need the agenda because I just dropped mine on the floor, so I can do roll call. You've got it right there. Let me just take it a minute. Otherwise, I'll forget their name. Okay. Member Dillon. Yes? Member Castro.
Yes.
Member Thompson. Member Elliott.
Yes.
Member Walsh.
Yes.
Member Thomas.
Aye.
Chair O'Donnell.
No.
Okay. Thank you. Motion passes.
All right.
Congratulations.
Have a seat.
Paul, what you'll be getting from us will be a signed reso with the conditions recognizing these changes. Congratulations.
Okay, Architectural Committee reports, requests, and comments. Well, welcome to the two new members, so good to have you guys here. This is one of the longer meetings we've had, so usually we're a little more, just a little less public discussion.
You were more deliberate tonight.
Yes. Any other reports? All right, Planning Director's report.
Did Dan,
I will be gone pretty much from Thanksgiving till the first of the year. So if you have to have me, it'll have to be remote.
okay, and so I think we only have one meeting and that's on December,
December 2nd, I believe.
what is it?
I think it's December 2nd. Oh, December 1st.
December 1st, so you're going to be gone for that, and then you'll be back in town after New Year's?
Correct.
Okay, thank you for that.
You going anywhere fun, then?
And I don't have anything else to report, Mr. Chair.
All right, so adjournment at 8:06. Thank you all.
The,
What's adjournment? What's adjournment?